Oh, hi there. Welcome to my studio. This morning I walked into my studio and I saw this painting on my drying rack, and it was sort of calling out to me that it wanted to be worked on again. And this is the type of painting that it really makes me happy. And I wanted to share it with you. It's completely dry now, so we can paint on it freely. So let's just work on it and let's see what happens. So, what I've got here is a 9 by 12 painting that I had in my rack drying, and I'd say I probably did this initial block in maybe 2 years ago, and that's kind of how I work. Something like this I'll just do in maybe one hour setting, and I'll just sit down with a blank panel and just start painting and see what happens. Kind of let my imagination run free, and a lot of times they'll be kind of rough like this, which is fine. And I'll just put them in my rack and I'll let them dry. And then sometime later, they'll call out to me like this one did today when I came up into the studio. It's ready to have a second pass on it. So that's what we're going to do today. It was a little dusty, and just take a paper towel and kind of wipe it. Then I'll put some medium on it, just not a whole lot, just enough to kind of bring back the color a little bit. And throw it over my shoulder. The trash can is back there somewhere. I tend to get really focused while I'm painting, so sometimes I don't always make it into the trash can per se, but it gets close. I pick it up later sometimes. So, anyways, yeah, this is kind of a neat painting. I always like to go for the glow. I always like to see on particularly this kind of painting. Can I make it luminous? If you hung this on a white wall, would it still look like it was glowing? And that's kind of how I define luminous. And so these are the kind of paintings that I really have a lot of fun with. So I'm just taking a look here and seeing what we have. What I think we'll start with that interests me a lot is this area. And this is, of course, the center of interest here. Ooh, there's a bug flying around. This is the center of interest, and that's the area that I want to glow. And so I've already sort of suppressed the field. That's what I call it. That's where you make the rest of the painting sort of look less than at full brightness. And what that does is that kind of makes this area look brighter in comparison to everything else. So let's just get started. We don't have to overanalyze it. We'll just pick up a brush and we'll just play and see what happens. In general, this is an interesting way of doing it. When I'm painting there, it looks like because this area is in front of this area, which is sky, I like to ask myself, well, if this is in front of this, then that must mean because of the rules in color theory, that must mean that any color above this mountain range or whatever this is here is going to be lighter, which means more white. It's going to be less intense. It's going to be grayer and it's going to be cooler. So what I'll do is I think I'm going to choose to do the light that's above the horizon to try to make this glow more. It's glowing some, and it's not too bad, but I think it can be pushed a lot further. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some white. And by the way, this is not really white. Because I'm using a zinc white and titanium white mix, it can tend to kind of wash out your color. So I don't particularly enjoy that. So the white I'm using, I always add a little bit of yellow or a little bit of orange. And sometimes, even yellow ochre is a nice color to add to it. So it's not pure white. It appears pure white, see, but it's not. I don't have a problem using pure white in a painting, but it has to be used intelligently, of course. And I try to do that, although I don't always use it intelligently. But that's another story for another time, maybe. But what I'm doing here is I'm taking some of this white, which we'll call white, and I am going to start with I don't know, I'm thinking maybe cadmium red medium. That looks good. Let's try that. And by adding white to the cadmium red medium, that alone is going to kill the chroma some. So it takes care of the value and kills the chroma, which is nice. Now, I think what I'm going to do is I'm not going to gray this down because I think the background is pretty powerful color. So let's just see what happens here. This is going to look a little scary, and it is for me because I'm going to have to kind of do away with that pretty yellow that was already there, but that's okay. You'll maybe notice here that I'm not really painting, per se. I'm stippling. And it's an interesting thing because I love to stipple. And when you're stippling on a painting here, I really like to stipple because it really makes it much easier, particularly if you are painting on a dry surface with some medium on it. The blending is just almost perfect, and if you work at it a little bit, it definitely can be much smoother than if I was trying to paint it in like that, because you can really control it. So you just get a bristle brush, and it's a regular bristle brush, and you just kind of do like this, and you can just gently make it go on where you can't tell where one color starts and the other one stops. I'm not going to go over that because that's a cloud. So what I've done is I've laid down this red mixture here, and I've stippled it in like this. This is one of the great secrets of getting smooth blends is you let your painting dry, and then you come back and with a bristle brush and whatever color you want, and you stipple. And if you want smooth transitions, particularly with stronger color, that's the way to do it. At least that's the way I do it. I'm sure there's other ways of doing it, and there are, but this is the way I do it most of the time. So looks like we got some red in there. And by the way, that red, because of what was behind it being so powerful, that red is not grayed down at all. That is just white and red, which is kind of fun. So I'm looking at that, I'm asking myself, what does that need? So what I'm going to do is what I'm going to do is I'm going to step the colors up in value and warmth, starting from here and coming down. But the interesting thing is that you do the opposite when you're starting. You always start off with red and move towards orange, orange red, orange yellow, and then you get into the brighter yellows as you get closer to the light source. So it's, I don't know, seems like it may be counterintuitive, but I just kind of go and see what happens, and you can always wipe it off if you have to, but usually you won't have to. You know, if you think that if you ruined it or you feel like you made a mistake, well, you just, you ask yourself, well, what can I do? Can I fix it? And most of the time the answer is yes. And you fix it by just going in and trying something. And then usually you'll find that, whatever you're working on, the glow will come back and you can just move on. But you have to have some courage and know, have some confidence that, yeah, I can do this. Because the truth is you can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a step up, and I think I'm going to go with something that's a little bit more like a cad red light this time. See what happens. Let's try a cad red light. And when you're doing the stippling, you always make the color, at least I do, at least that's the way I'm doing now. You always make the color a little bit stronger than you think, which means a little bit darker value, because you're putting a thin layer of it on. So let's see. That may be a little bit too dark. Yeah. This may be kind of hard to see on camera. So I'll put a little bit of the cad red light there, and that's going to be very subtle, but it is important to be there because it is a naturally lighter value red. And so when you start stippling down with your oranges and yellows, it will look natural. So now I think I'm going to move into more of an orange color. The most important thing when you're doing this stippling is that you get the value right, which basically in this particular case I think is going to be right. Let's see. Let's test it. See, that's what you do. You just test it. You put it on there. I don't know if you can see that, but that is a little bit brighter than what's there. And you'll start to see, I would think, a little bit of brightness building. Yeah. Yeah, you can definitely see some brightness building there. It's very subtle, but when I'm doing these kind of things, I like to make sure that all the edges are fused and subtle and soft, because that's the way light behaves. Light kind of blows things out and destroys the edges, and it makes it look more real when everything is smooth. So that's what we'll do. And I've kind of obliterated my light source there, but that's okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to carry this up. You see how I'm stippling? You may be able to see the difference there. I'm stippling this, and I'm using less and less pressure as I go up. And it's surprisingly easy to control. And it actually makes doing this quite fun, because you can see it get brighter and brighter and brighter. And what's already there is quite bright, so we'll see if we can keep going here. I think I'm kind of happy with that. Let's try adding a little more here. I think I'll break up that tree. That was a little bit too much of a curved line there, so I'm going to break that up a little bit. Just a little. Add a little more over here. There. It looks like it's starting to get brighter, but we've actually got quite a bit more to do to really turn the lights on, which is the fun part. This was really nice. Thank you for spending a little bit of time with me. When I look at a painting like this, it always tends to quiet things down, and I hope that it's brought you some calm too. And as I look at it again, I'm starting to see that the glow is beginning to come back.